Hi there, everyone. Welcome to another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson, turning the pages with you as we explore recovery, resilience building, and safety. On this half-hour journey you don't want to miss. Sit back and relax as it all unfolds right after this important message.
There are some safety hazards to bear in mind as you move around after a tropical storm or hurricane. Stay away from all downed power lines, which can still be live and lethal, and report them to the electricity company. Avoid walking or driving through floodwaters, as these may be contaminated with sewage, chemicals, and bacteria that pose serious health risks. There may even be submerged debris or live power lines. Do not enter damaged homes or buildings until the authorities have declared them safe. When you do, watch out for loose parts and listen out for unusual shifting sounds, which could indicate an imminent collapse. And as you go about cleanup activities, make sure to wear protective clothing like gloves and sturdy boots. Be cautious and stay safe as you go about picking up the pieces after a hurricane.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry and this is your JIS News for Monday, November 10, 2025. Approximately 90,000 families in western Jamaica were directly affected by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. That's according to preliminary figures from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM. The agency's initial damage assessment report also reveals that more than 120,000 buildings lost their roofs. Newly appointed Director General of ODPEM, Commander Alvin Gale, provided the update during a press briefing last Thursday. He adds that an estimated 27 communities remain isolated in hard-to-reach areas of St. Elizabeth, St. James, and Trelawney.
We're acutely aware that many communities are still marooned, cut off by flooding and landslides. I can report that through the efforts of the Jamaica Defence Force, the National Works Agency, the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and others, we've successfully re-established access to many of these communities.
Commander Gale adds that ODPEM is now finalizing its damage assessment report as relief teams continue to assist affected families and restore normalcy in the worst-hit communities. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security will be providing several grant options to support recovery efforts across hurricane-affected communities, including assistance for households and small business owners. During a recent tour of impacted areas in Manchester, Parish Manager for the Ministry, Audrey Roy, told JIS News that the goal was to help families get back on their feet, especially those who lost their livelihoods.
We have compassionate grants. We have rehabilitation grant, which goes more towards a business. That's an entrepreneurial grant. So they can get that, for example, if you're, say you raise cows and you'd have lost your cows during the hurricane, then you can come and access a grant to purchase maybe 2 young calves, some goats, some pigs, whether to rear chicken. We have a grant that can allow you outside of whatever grant they'll give for example, to help to repair your house. We have grants that you can actually access to help you rebuild.
Teams from the ministry have been visiting communities such as Whitby in northeast Manchester, Ballinaur, Heavy Tree and Clonus, distributing relief items including mattresses, hygiene supplies, tarpaulins and food packages. The Labour and Social Security Ministry will continue its assessments and relief operations in other affected parishes in the coming days to ensure that vulnerable families receive the help they need. Meanwhile, India has joined the list of nations providing support to Jamaica's hurricane relief and recovery efforts. On Thursday, an Indian Air Force aircraft arrived with approximately 20 tons of humanitarian aid and disaster relief supplies from New Delhi. The shipment includes rehabilitation support items, food and daily necessities, power generators, shelter materials and hygiene kits, medicine and medical equipment.
It's 72 boxes of medical equipment which can be easily mobilized to the disaster areas and can serve up to 200 people, including people who have intensive trauma.
Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith was on hand to receive the donation.
And high-tech, new technology, Bisham Cube, which is a new medical mechanism to deliver trauma care in areas of devastation. And there is a whole medical team here to train the Jamaican medical team to be able to deliver care in the areas that are hardest hit and that need medical services to be deployed. It's modular, so it can be deployed in smaller communities which are more difficult to get to, and even where the helicopters cannot land.
The aircraft also carried aid for Cuba, which was also affected by the hurricane. The Universal Service Fund, USF, will deliver at least 90 community connectivity solutions to areas affected by Hurricane Melissa over the next 6 weeks. Minister of Energy, Transport and Telecommunications, Darrell Vaz, gave the update during a recent press briefing at Jamaica House. He says the USF is deploying Starlink satellite solutions to restore connectivity in affected communities, many of which remain cut off from communication services.
Starting with Betheltown, Westmoreland, and rolling 15 installations over the next week. Mobile units are also being deployed to provide Wi-Fi and charging stations in affected communities.
More than 150 communities have been affected by the lack of connectivity. The Jamaica Defence Force JDF has begun to airlift Starlink units and generators into isolated communities to establish community Wi-Fi hubs and support humanitarian operations.
Starlink is being used to restore mobile backhaul for phone and digital towers in the west, helping to connect 250,000 people in the affected areas. In addition, hospitals and emergency services are now using Starlink to stay connected, request supplies, and coordinate relief and more.
600 Starlink units, 400 fixed and 200 mobile, have been distributed in priority order across the worst hit areas. Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Public Service Company, Hugh Grant, says JPS is increasing manpower to accelerate the electricity restoration process across the island.
We have now pulled the trigger to bring in an additional 100 line workers based on our retainer contracts with companies in North America, from Canada and from the USA.
He says additional equipment are also en route to support the restoration effort.
So we're bringing in on barges additional bucket trucks, more than 50 bucket trucks, more than 10 digger trucks, so that when the workers come in, they have the equipment required so that they can safely and optimally restore customers.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has engaged 413 temporary workers to strengthen its vector control interventions. This is in anticipation of increased vector-related activity island-wide in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the temporary staff will be working in tandem with the ministry's permanent personnel.
We do anticipate an increase in vector-related activity, whether it's rodents or mosquitoes. 413 temporary workers are engaged, and we're going to be supporting those temporary workers with 498 permanent staff. And you will see and feel and hear more of them in the communities in the coming days, because we do expect over the next week or so, particularly in the areas where we have no electricity, that's going to be an issue.
Dr. Tufton points out that there is always the risk of dengue fever, which is caused by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Hence, continuous monitoring and testing is being done to determine the population of the various species and how to control them. He further advises that public health inspectors are also mobilized and are in the field looking at the food chain to ensure food safety.
We have already condemned a fair bit of food that is to be refrigerated and can't be refrigerated, and also doing water testing, all of that in aid of preventing infections or diseases from food or water.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, is now stepping up the resumption of its regular garbage collection services in residential areas. Executive Director Audley Gordon says the agency has engaged additional private tipper trucks to help speed up the process.
We are pushing hard, and we're going 3 trips, so our disposal site are literally going open, literally around the clock. We have also gotten additional spaces where we are temporarily storing like the debris from Melissa. We are storing them in temporary space.
Mr. Gordon, who was speaking on our Get the Facts program on Sunday, explained that collection schedules fell behind due to the authorities' pre-hurricane preparations and post-hurricane recovery activities. He explained that the agency also had to suspend all service for 24 hours during the storm as it was too dangerous to operate.
We spent quite a bit of our time, at least 3 or 4 days before Melissa, and take up all we could in terms of loose garbage. Now that distracts us from community collections during that period of time. And then after Melissa, we have to go to clear roads of debris and fallen trees, etc., so that we can open up the space.
And finally, the Ministry of Education is urging teachers to take advantage of the psychological support services available through the education system as they deal with trauma caused by the hurricane. In making the call, Portfolio Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon highlights that the hurricane has taken an emotional toll on the educators as well as students.
In our ministry already, we have a group of over 30 psychiatrists and psychologists that we have available to our education system. So we have a system in place for those who need help. And we say we already have these avenues available, and we want our teachers to take use of it.
She says the ministry is deepening collaboration across the education sector to minimize learning loss caused by the hurricane. A meeting was convened last week with key partners to coordinate recovery and ensure continuity in education. School boards and principals have been advised to assess readiness based on local conditions and manage the opening of schools accordingly. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
So the first technique that will be explained today is the technique of boiling. What we advise is for you to obtain clean water, water that you can see through. Then you would place it into a pot, you'd cover the pot and allow for it to boil. Allow for rolling boil for about 5 minutes. Then it would look something like this. Then after you would have achieved the 5 minutes of rolling boil, then you'd allow for it to cool. Then you would place it inside of another container.
Use an airtight container to store your water. If the water is not used within a few weeks, be sure to carry out additional treatment of the water. That may include boiling the water once more.
Hurricane Melissa dealt a devastating blow to the island, and we are picking up the pieces with the government leading the national recovery efforts. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness outlines the crucial phases of Jamaica's rebuilding efforts in this segment of Jamaica Magazine.
As we move forward from the initial shock of Hurricane Melissa, the government's response is being guided by a clear, structured, and disciplined framework. We are pursuing recovery through 4 overlapping phases: immediate relief, emergency relief, stabilization, and recovery, and then long-term reconstruction and rebuilding. Each phase carries distinct priorities, but all share a single purpose: protecting the lives and dignity of our people and restoring our nation with greater resilience than before. The immediate relief phase began even before the hurricane had fully passed. In those critical hours, our priority was to safeguard life and maintain essential order. Search and rescue operations were initiated in affected communities as soon as it was safe to deploy teams. Emergency shelters continued to operate at scale ensuring food, potable water, and medical services for displaced families. Our uniformed services secured critical infrastructure, while ODPEM, municipal disaster teams, and volunteers coordinated life-saving interventions. This phase focused on urgent humanitarian needs, clearing access routes for emergency response personnel, and stabilizing high-risk areas to prevent secondary loss of life. Then we entered the emergency relief phase, the phase in which we are now. This phase includes clearing and reopening primary road corridors, accelerating the restoration of power and water systems, and expanding mobile and community-level distribution of relief supplies. We have also mobilized medical outreach to shelters and affected districts, while ensuring psychosocial support for children, elderly persons, and vulnerable families. International humanitarian assistance, including airlifted supplies and technical teams, began to arrive and integrate with Jamaica's national response system during this stage. The central aim of this phase is to relieve suffering, reestablish safe access to communities, and stabilize essential services across the island. The next phase will be the stabilization and recovery phase, which focuses on helping families and businesses regain a sense of normalcy and restoring the foundations of daily life. This includes bringing schools back into operation as quickly and as safely as possible, providing targeted support to small businesses and farmers, restoring public transportation routes, and accelerating the repairs of government buildings and community facilities. Households whose homes are habitable will begin returning from shelters, while those whose properties were destroyed or severely damaged will receive temporary housing assistance and construction support. Utilities will complete permanent repairs, and municipal authorities will operationalize debris removal and rehabilitation programs. This stage is about rebuilding confidence, reestablishing livelihoods, and supporting Jamaicans as they resume work, school, and community life. Finally, the reconstruction and rebuilding phase will ensure that Jamaica emerges stronger than before. This phase will see major capital works begin to rebuild, and climate-proof critical infrastructure, including roads, bridges, water treatment plants, health facilities, and power and telecommunication network. We're going to see those being built out. Housing reconstruction will prioritize stronger building standards, improved drainage, land use guidance, and support for our formal construction systems. We will partner with the international development institutions, private sector actors, and regional allies to secure financing and technical expertise. Throughout this phase, we will apply the principle of building forward better, ensuring that public investments not only replace what was lost, but reduce risk and improve resilience against future climate-related events. This is the phase where we overcome the adversity caused by this shock and come out ahead with modernized frameworks and long-term planning for better resilience against future shocks that will be inevitable.
The shadows of October 28, 2025 still linger, the aftermath of Category 5 Hurricane Melissa. The powerful system made landfall in Jamaica, leaving a trail of devastation across the island. While every parish felt its force, the western end bore the brunt of the storm. Many residents are still without homes, vital infrastructure has been wiped out, and communities are struggling to rebuild. As a nation, we're all picking up the pieces together. Let us continue to stand united and support recovery efforts by donating through the country's official disaster relief and recovery portal at supportjamaica.gov.jm.
Hurricane straps help keep your roof secure during heavy winds. Strappies advice: make sure your home is secure. Strap down your roofs to withstand the wailing winds of hurricanes and other major storms. Don't wait until it's too late.
It's a very simple thing. It is inexpensive and it doesn't require much technical know-how to do it.
Strap down your roof now. Save yourself a world of hurt later.
Widespread devastation across 5 western parishes left a significant blight on major hospital infrastructure. But health staff have been showing resilience in getting back to some sense of normalcy. In our next feature, we take a glimpse of the damage to hospitals in the 5 severely affected parishes and the cleanup activities by devoted healthcare staff. Keep watching.
The corridor from St. Elizabeth through to Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James and Trelawney have been impacted significantly by the storm. In terms of health services now, the Black River Hospital in St. Elizabeth being the most severe, and that facility essentially will have to be, for now, totally relocated in terms of services. But the roof damage, the seawall, the administrative wing, the ward space, the operating theatre, right across the stretch, Black River Hospital would have been significantly damaged. The Sablamar Hospital in Westmoreland, also very damaged. Roof damage, the outpatient clinic was totally demolished. That was previously a COVID ward. That's on the compound, the health center across the street from there. Roof damage. And of course, with the roof damage, the contents within the building would have been impacted significantly from water damage. So the diagnostic equipment and other such very vital pieces of equipment would have been impacted. Falmouth Hospital, significant roof damage. The A&E, maternity, dietary, the health center, the additional block that was built for COVID all sustained significant roof damage. Noel Home, similarly, the wards, dietary, A&E is intact, that section. The nurses and doctors' quarters, the health center on the compound, all sustained significant roof damage, and by extension, the internals of those buildings would have been flooded out. And then Cornwall Regional Hospital, the damage was significant to the areas that were built to expand ward services for as a expansion for what would have been the gaps created from the repairs to the main building. The 2 new buildings, Western Child and the renovation at the main Cornwall building, sustained some damage, but nowhere as severe as the previously nurses and doctors' quarters, which essentially was the hospital, housing the hospital. The A&E, which was the original Mount Salem clinic, roof damage significant. Essentially, those 5 hospitals have sustained significant roof damage and flooding. And the doctors and the staff, nurses, have had to be makeshifting their arrangements to try and cater to both inpatient but emergency care. The health workers in the 5 parishes have grouped together to go to the 5 hospitals for a cleanup, expressing solidarity and support to our healthcare workers and others on location in these 5 locations. So we have about 200 or so health staff helping to clean up on the compound of the hospitals, giving support to the local team, and a number of others will be out there. We'll all put on our gloves and help to pick up the pieces and just to give support in the field.
We are in Cornwall Regional Hospital, the ward that lost more than half. This is 7 East, and we are trying to clear the debris so we can bring back some semblance of normal to the area, because the patients are displaced. And as a healthcare worker, I could be stationed here, and I would want somebody to help me so I can do the patient care and they help with the debris.
It was really a good show of solidarity and support for those healthcare workers who have been impacted. They helped with the cleanup. They're going back to those affected areas to continue to assist.
Carbon monoxide poisoning is a silent but deadly threat, especially when using generators and other fuel-burning devices. Here's how you can keep your home and family safe. Never use a generator, grill, camp stove, or other gasoline, propane, natural gas, or charcoal burning devices inside a home, garage, or any partially enclosed area. Keep these devices outdoors, away from doors, windows, and vents that could allow carbon monoxide to come indoors. For your cooking gas stoves, always ensure they are well ventilated by using an exhaust fan or opening windows to allow fresh air to circulate and prevent carbon monoxide buildup. Simply opening doors and windows or using fans may prevent CO buildup in the home. Carbon monoxide can't be seen or smelled, but it can rapidly lead to full incapacitation and death. If you start to feel sick, dizzy, or weak while using a generator, get to fresh air right away. Do not delay. Install CO alarms in central locations on every level of your home and outside sleeping areas to provide early warning of carbon monoxide accumulation. Test the batteries frequently and replace them when needed. If the carbon monoxide alarm sounds, move quickly to a fresh air location outdoors or by an open window or door. Protect your home and loved ones from carbon monoxide poisoning. Stay safe and be aware.
Our half-hour journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine ends right here for today. But please, do join us again tomorrow on this very same station for more news, features and information you can use. In the meantime, visit our website at jis.gov.jm for this and other offerings. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Until next time, take care and lend a helping hand where you can in this time of need.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.